Thank you very much. Welcome to this afternoon's session. All protocols of the day observed. We have heard the topic of today as harnessing the power of AI in research, science, and technology to address Namibia's challenges. As we stand on the cusp of a new era, artificial intelligence emerges as a beacon of innovation and hope. Namibia, like many nations, grapples with pressing issues such as water scarcity, energy deficits, food security, One Health concerns, climate change, and the pursuit of sustainable development. Now, just very interesting that AI actually dates back to 1950. And the lead was Alan Turing in his book about AI games. So this panel brings together leading experts and visionaries who will explore how AI can revolutionize our approaches to see these multifaceted challenges by leveraging advanced algorithms and data-driven insights. We aim to uncover sustainable solutions that can propel Namibia towards a resilient and prosperous future. I invite you to engage in this vibrant discussion as we delve into the transformative potential of AI and its role in shaping a better tomorrow for Namibia. I'm joined by Mr. Stefanus van Staden, Director of the Office of Prime Minister, Mr. Naftali Ndongo, Lecturer at NUST, Rian Steenkamp, Member of the National Space Science Council from NCRST. I want to hear the space story. Maybe if we incorporate AI, then the predictions of what's going to happen in my astrology thingy they put in the newspaper that tells you what's going to happen next week, Wednesday, will be a little bit more accurate. And Mr. Anton Limbow, the Program Coordinator at University of Namibia. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm glad to be the flower among the fawns here today. Fani, I'm going to kick off with you. We're talking about leveraging AI for water management. Is your mic on? Good. How can AI technologies be integrated into Namibia's water management system to enhance water security and mitigate water scarcity issues?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think, first of all, we just need to look at what is water management. So what does it focus on? So primarily, the main aim would be to provide quality water and adequate of it to those who need it. I think that's the basic principle. The second part of this really is about resource management, because water is an important resource and needs to be managed. The next part would be to look at the risk parts. And these are primarily related to drought, floods, for instance, and then quite obviously climate change. So if we look at those key elements, the aims, AI has a very important role to play in those. So let's first of all just unpack this a little bit. If we look at AI's capability, it's really about predicting things and doing things. So if we look in the prediction sphere, one part that it can do is actually predict droughts. So by accumulating weather type information, it can actually analyze those and then make a prediction of whether there will be another drought. And quite often this is important for decision making. Another part which is important for Namibia is the maintenance of infrastructure. So if AI could be used to predict faults in our water supply system, we could ensure accessibility of that supply. So and this could be done through sensor systems, for instance, which is connected to telemetry systems, and which in turn uses AI to identify these things early. And then related to this, which is another issue, especially in Windhoek, water leakages, which is, I think we've all experienced this a lot in Windhoek. So AI could play a critical role here in looking at these issues, where the leakages are occurring, when are they occurring, and why are they occurring. So it could play an important role to help us to do preventative maintenance in terms of leakages, but also to reduce the loss of water, which is quite important. And then also related to this, the AI has this wonderful capability to provide immediate decisions. Okay, so which is very important for decision makers at a point in time to make. Let's say there's a flood on its way. It will allow through sensor system to immediately look at what's happening, and then to take corrective action. So it really provides a wonderful support platform for all of these. And then we've got our friend ChatGPT. So any
Co-pilot.
chatbots, so chatbots could be used as a means for the public in general to get more information about how to preserve this scarce resource. So it could really be used in terms of marketing, but also to help those who are working in the water sector. We must remember, water is not just, it's not just about one entity. We've got the bulk water suppliers, and then we've got towns like Windhoek, one of our smaller suppliers, which taps from the main, but also who are also prominent suppliers from water holes and so on. So really, they all form, part of a bigger ecosystem. So ChatGPT really, in terms of the analytic and predictive capabilities, can really help this. But then also in terms of automation of water systems. For instance, a key issue is to make certain that delivery happens. So really to assess where water is needed and when it's needed could be a critical function of an AI solution. Especially in this time where dams are running low on water and we have got borders, so where some are under have no water and some have water. So AI could help you to sort that and create some sort of middle ground between that. And then ultimately, it can help decision makers to plan for the future. I think this is critical. If any one of you typed into your ChatGPT, your co-pilot, just ask them for a water management plan. There are wonderful plans out there, so there's no need for us to really go and rethink it, but just to review it and to see how it will be implemented in our environment. So it really gets the knowledge from areas where we would not have had the capability to get that knowledge. And I think, just to close off here, however, there are two critical issues here. The one issue is around ethics, and I think it was spoken about this morning, and the other one is the practical implementation of AI into our current environment. Where we still live in a very analog environment, how would we transition water management systems into a digital environment which is AI enabled? I think this is the biggest question.
I think I must agree. Thank you very much, Mr. van Staden. I appreciate the inputs. I am going to jump to Naftali Ndongu. Naftali, we have a really nice hot topic. And it's been coming a while again. Various of these topics have been discussed over many years, over and over again. And the topic that we're talking about now is renewable energy solutions. And if we take it at some stage, solar was all the rage. Everybody had to go solar. And then it was windmills, and it was all the rage. And now we're talking green hydrogen. And the question is, when we look at AI in renewable energy, in what ways can AI enhance the efficiency and deployment of renewable energy sources in Namibia?
Thank you for the question. Looking at the renewable energy, so if you think about it, green hydrogen, actually, when it came, it was quite a hot topic. Now, when green hydrogen came, now we are actually talking about AI. And one thing I'm actually excited about, there was quite a Namibia Green Hydrogen Summit just a few days ago. And there was quite a lot of discussion around AI, how we can use AI in that space. And that actually excites me. So getting back to your question, AI has quite a lot of use in that space. For example, we are actually talking about developing our green hydrogen power station, developing our wind power station, for example. So we can use AI in that sense. One of the use we can use is looking at things like predictive maintenance, for example. If you look at most of our power producing companies, we actually end up failing to produce enough power due to equipment failure, right? But now, if you have a company like NamPower, which utilizes AI to actually predict when the equipments are likely to happen. So every time we produce power, we're actually producing data at the back end. So we can integrate this with IoT devices, for example. Then we can actually look at that data in both past data as well as real-time data. Then we can predict when our equipment is likely to fail. And we can use machine learning algorithms for that, right? And another important aspect is that as we are focusing on, distributing our renewable energy, so we're actually moving toward what is called smart grids, right? So we actually need to come up with the smartest possible ways how we can distribute energy. When do the energy need to be distributed, right? And we look at which area requires more energy at a certain time, for example. So we can actually use data to actually predict which areas actually need more data at a certain time, or which area where we need to reduce that data consumption, then we can actually distribute to other areas that need it the most, right? And AI has actually a major role in that. And another important aspect is that as most of us, we're actually quite technical, and we don't like to do tedious jobs like paperwork, for example, right? Imagine you're working for a renewable energy company, then you are focusing on getting the equipment running and producing the power that needs to feed the nation. Then your boss is asking you to actually write a report of some sort, right? So some of these tasks we can actually use them. We give it to AI, then we prioritize more on the most important task of producing energy. Then we actually try to also conserve that energy as well, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naftali. Now, Rian Steenkamp, I actually have a question for you. But now, having met you and understanding the space science, I'm almost itchy to go that route, but we'll stick to the topic at hand for what was asked. And if Shoki will be so nice and give us a moment, I'd love to hear about AI and space. So we're talking about climate change and sustainable development with AI. Climate change has another topic that has been discussed over and over again, and how we in our daily lives and behavior contribute towards a deterioration of the climate change. This year we had our August winds in July. Apparently they predict some rain for this weekend, which we normally get mid to end October. So the question is, what role can AI play in addressing climate change and promoting sustainable development in Namibia?
Well, thank you for the question. It's very interesting. The first thing that we must understand with climate change, we need to understand how it interacts with the physical systems of our atmosphere, the sun's radiation that impinges on our atmosphere, what is retained. We have to look at the amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, which is have a very high heat capacity, which means it captures heat. But it's not the only one. There's also methane and other gases that has the same effect. It's a little bit unclear what the coupling is between these type of gases and then the water vapor in our atmosphere. But the point is, you cannot just pump tons and tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and not thinking that it will have no effect. So we must try to see and predict what the effects would be. Now, there are a lot of different models that we can do, numerical models and stochastical models that we can program and run on huge computers that can predict the climate. And climate is not weather, remember. It is an averaged weather that you have over long term. But predicting it into the future, AI has a very powerful predictor tools in those sort of things, especially in terms of machine learning algorithms. And then, of course, lots of data is being gathered all around the world, weather data, climate data, and how to correlate these things and see patterns on it. Well, AI is very good to do that. It's better in testing all sorts of different type of possibilities, then we can just look at it and not see anything, while it can pass us through lots of data in these sort of things. What is also important in the sense is, if we want to tweak this, if we want to change things, like for example, we want to change our farming practices, we want to change our power generation practices to let's say, less detrimental things, AI can help us predict what those effects would be, and if it's worthwhile doing it. I am a little bit of a skeptic in some things. I know that some politicians have with things like net zero, and me being a physicist, I say, you can aspire to it, but you will never be able to do it. It's not a reasonable thing, but we can do our best that we can to do that, and AI can help us make those decisions in that aspect.
Thank you very much. It is horrifying when we read in the newspapers about Namibian children starving or suffering severe malnutrition. So, Mr. Anton Limbo, for you, my question is on ensuring food security through AI. How can AI be utilized to improve agricultural productivity and ensure food security in Namibia so that our children do not go hungry?
Thank you. Is my mic? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. It's very interesting because I have a book chapter coming out on that very topic. So with AI, so much can be done in terms of food security and improving food security, especially for Namibia. And like my book chapter is out later on in January next year. But what is interesting is that we can use AI to predict a lot of things, such as the yields that we can get from our crops, how much water we need for us to basically be able to raise these crops. Some researchers even argue you can actually use AI to predict the growth of your crops, so that you'll be able to basically be able to gauge how far they will be grown along the year. Then you can also plan based on resources such as water, which is a scarce resource, based around on that growth. But yeah, in terms of reducing hunger, again, it goes back to prediction. So we can go back to the data and look at the data in terms of consumption data, how much people consuming in a specific region, in a specific town. Then based on that, it can also help us plan to say, for example, if drought has affected that particular region, how do we alleviate that, or how do we alleviate the effects of that drought? Similarly as well, we could also use AI, in conjunction with other models such as weather. We could basically be able to see if a particular region will be able to produce enough food for that growing season. Then if not, we can basically then be able to plan around that to say, for example, if Omsati didn't produce enough mahangu, where are we going to get that mahangu for that particular season? So the possibilities are a lot. And if you add other things such as, for example, Internet of Things, then of course you'll be able to do much more prediction. You'll be able to get much more data, such as moisture, humidity, and all that, which can also be able to assist in much more prediction to say, this is what you need, this is how much water you're going to need for this growing season, this is how much pesticide you're going to need based on data such as for previous data on pest infestations, how much fertilizer you're going to need, etc., etc. So all that moving towards precision agriculture, or more into smart farming.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everybody another short question, but first, something very passionate is health. And if we look at it, statistics from 2021, 2022, 48% of Namibians suffer multidimensional poverty. And one of these poverties includes health. So, Naftali, how can AI contribute to One Health approach in Namibia, particularly in monitoring and controlling zoonotic diseases? The disease we just have coming up, mpox. It's scary. It's an old disease coming back.
Thank you very much for the question. With that, let's think about when COVID was here, right? So during the time of COVID, remember you always kept being updated about the cases of COVID, Then there were quite a lot of applications that were developed to actually monitor people's movements or to monitor, which region is more affected, just to collect all this data. And how many people are hospitalized, how many people are actually recovering and so forth, right? So at that time, we're actually using AI at the back end, because one of the things is we're actually scraping data from external websites, right? So we're already using AI. Now, if you can imagine, we can use that same sort of technology currently, right? We have an mpox outbreak currently, right? So how do we keep track of that? So we can also use AI in that sense, where we actually keep track of that data. We can figure out, if we have people in a hospital somewhere that actually registered we have mpox, then how do we quarantine them? How do we consider that data so that it doesn't have to spread any further? Then we can, so one also most important thing, use of AI in health, for example, is it can also be used for early disease diagnostic, right? So when you go to the hospital, what you're actually giving is data. You are registering yourself about, your temperature, your symptoms. We can actually develop AI systems that are capable to predict that given on these symptoms, you are likely to have this disease. Then we can implement things like, computer vision models to do predictions in diseases such as cancer, right? Instead of you having to take a long time waiting for the results, you can actually just feed that results, that image of your lags of your scan into a model. Then the model should be able to predict to say, okay, looking at these symptoms, based on the data the model was trained on, you are actually likely to have cancer, or you are likely to have this particular disease. So AI has quite a lot of use in that space. And I always like to say that, for example, if you look at our public hospital, we actually get frustrated when we go to the public hospitals. You actually go there feeling sick and you are just going to get worse, because the process that you are going through is quite a lot, from just the paperwork, right? So imagine now if we can implement things like ChatGPT. It's actually a large language model. So we can implement devices that use such large language model to do things like screening. Instead of actually you having to wait for a nurse to attend to you, you can actually be screened by a device that is set up to look at your temperature, look at your blood pressure and all that, right? Just to fast track the process. And also in that sense, we are actually not replacing the nurse job, but we're actually making the nurse job as easy as possible. So I believe if we all come together and contribute in that space, we'll actually come up with the best solution in some of those space. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vani, back to you. I know that you involved with a drought commission. How can AI play a role to make your work easier, to be more proactive rather than reactive when we talk about drought? I mean, we live in an arid country. We have beautiful dunes. We've got miles and miles of them. But then again, we also have the beautiful savannas in the north. How can we use AI in this particular activity that you're currently involved with drought?
Okay, well, I must say, look, drought is is a disaster, but it's also a risk. Okay, so which happens annually, but it also depends on the rainfall patterns. So there's a connection to other factors as well. So I think the most important, which we're trying to do now, is to gather as much information as we can from all the different sectors to build the data set required, and then to apply machine learning model to this, with the whole idea to start to create an environment where we actually can see and predict these eventualities. The biggest challenge we have now is that we were not certain to the extent of the effect of drought in Namibia. So the only way to have done this was to physically go to the places. So I've traveled around the country to Okatana and all the way back just to have a look. Okay, many of my colleagues. So if we had the data available, as well as the current weather pattern information, it could have helped us to predict and already made provision for this. So early warning systems play a vital role in this. So the understanding of my office in disaster risk management is really to set up a center where we have these early warning systems, which has sensors, Internet of Things, for instance, devices, which can actually monitor many of these environmental factors. And combining that with other information around weather patterns and historical information. So it's really to alert us beforehand, so we can make budgetary provision, stock the warehouses with food, and also make, transport all the other logistical things available for this. So I think that is really where we're aiming to go to. First, gather data, put in place all the other elements, and then really to get a team to actually understand what they're seeing and what to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anton, coming back to you. I'm still stuck on agriculture. We have so much going on in agriculture, but then again, during our recent family holiday to the Kunene, we saw animals that were dying next to the road. and families and villages suffering because of that, because they're not even self-sustaining. Again, how can AI make a difference on a smaller molecular? Because when we talk agriculture, we talk big food, feed everybody, export, make money of it, all those kind of things. But when we talk about the really affected people in Namibia that we see when we visit the south, the west, the east, the north, how can we use AI to bring it closer to the individual Namibian to avoid what they're currently experiencing?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so I think we have to first start looking at our problems, because most times we take an approach where we want to apply an existing solution which was not developed based on our problem to our problems, and I think this is one of the biggest problems that we face, and it's one of the it's what leads to where we are today. So for starters, what we could do is we could bring it at close to the people. Say, for example, at a regional level, where we could say how many people are within a constituency, how many animals are within that constituency, how much water is within that constituency. So based on that, we can see the weather patterns. If it's going to be very hot from August to November, how is that going to affect evaporation-wise on the current existing sources such as dams and wells and stuff like that? So then based on this data, we could then be able to predict, say for example, if we have 30% water levels in the dam, we could be able to predict that this is only going to sustain so amounts of goats, so amounts of sheep, so amounts of cows, etc., etc. Then in that way, we can also encourage the farmers to offset some of their livestock, to say, in the coming spring season, you will not be able to sustain 100 heads of cattle. Offset some so that you can at least remain with a sustainable number. Then the same could also expand as far as the Ministry of Wildlife. So say, for example, if you have 1,000 elephants, maybe reduce them to 500. You can maybe take them to another park or something like that, because then we will not be able to sustain it in the long run. And I think taking that approach where we could use AI to predict this based on the previous data, we'll be standing in a situation where we'll be much more proactive than reacting to when the situation comes, and will not be. We might find ourselves in the situation like we are facing now, but it will at least be prepared for it, because we can at least say, okay, we have this amount of resources which can sustain this amount of people, this amount of wildlife, and so on.
Thank you very much. Rian, your turn. Space is this beautiful place out there, and on a good night around a campfire, you can see all the stars and the constellations, and it's a beautiful experience. But there's a lot more to space, and particularly in space science. And obviously there's data that is gathered in that environment that probably impacts our daily lives that we're just not aware of. So how can AI help you, your team, the wider Namibian team, when it comes to space science, to improve our lives?
Well, thank you for that question. It's actually a huge topic, but I'll try to cut it as short as possible. Well, there are several aspects of it. One of it is Earth observation from satellites. We are constructing at the moment an Earth station, which is a downlink from satellites. And all of the matters about climate, about drought, water resources, agricultural resources, can be addressed by AI analysis of images from space by our satellites observing us. It's only wildlife migrations, crop health from the color and spectra from that. We can look at many other aspects, maybe drainage patterns, and many predictors can come from that. That is one aspect that ties in with water, with climate, with weather, with agriculture, and many such things. Other aspect is space weather, which is a little bit of my expertise where the sun has, we are currently experiencing a solar maximum. That means that the sun is in its most chaotic and active state, and then after a while it will decline again into solar minimum, so it's 11-year cycle. That means every time it is a solar maximum, the heliomagnetic field is in chaotic and condition, and then eventually it's settled with an opposite polarity. So the solar magnetic field changes every 11 years, its polarity in the sense when it goes to solar minimum where everything is quiet. But during solar maximum, you will get these coronal mass ejections, and you can get then interaction between that coronal mass ejection and our magnetosphere. And a few months ago, we will see some interesting aurorae, high altitude aurorae, red ones. Low altitude has different colors, and this it can have impact on communications and many other things. And the predictions and the modeling of these type of events, AI can help with that. The other thing is that we are involved in is astronomy, astrophysics and astronomy, where we already have the HESS project running. We are working towards the Africa Millimeter Telescope, which will observe the space in millimeter wavelengths. And that means that it's also part of then through very long baseline interferometry with the Event Horizon Telescope, where we will be looking at the imaging of black holes. And then also we are signatory to the Square Kilometer Array, which will be the largest telescope or astrophysics experiment in the world. And that one will generate data at a rate, when it's fully operational, of 14 exabytes per day. There's no way that a person can evaluate that. So we need machine learning and AI algorithms to mine the data and reduce the data. We cannot even, through our telecommunications infrastructure, send that data abroad. It's too much. It needs to be reduced, and that means instant discoveries can be made by pattern recognition software and image analysis, things that run on basically machine learning. That is a type of focus AI. And of course, broad AI, like large language models, can be done by correlating all of the data that we have produced all over the world, the astronomy, and in these experiments you can just ask, I'm writing a paper on this, all the data that we have with a focus AI model can then bring all the data together. You have your references, and everything is just at hand. It will make research much faster, much more, let's say, quicker to produce results. So the rate at which, and not only astronomy, in all fields of science, from recombinant DNA to health to medicine discovery, means that all the research that we are doing can just leap forward at a much greater pace than before. And the more we develop these AI models, the quicker it will become. That it could be that we can, with AI, enter a situation that we will have daily discoveries, rather than discoveries every few weeks or every few months, or every few years. To think that we went from chariots to oxen cars in the 2,000, 3,000 years, we went from those oxen carts to stealth fighters in 100 years. And this, let's say this distance will become shorter and shorter and shorter, and then basically it will help us in so many ways. So like I've explained before, many of our image analysis methods that we developed in astronomy to reduce astronomical data is the same algorithms that is running in your nuclear magnetic resonance scanners, your tomography scanners in medicine. And there's so much scope for AI, and we are looking at towards a very exciting future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Very excited about it. We are going to skip the round of questions from the audience. For time's sake, the program is running a bit over. So as our panel discussion concludes, it's evident that harnessing the power of AI in research, science, and technology holds transformative potential in Namibia. By leveraging AI, we can address critical challenges such as water scarcity, energy needs, food security, One Health, climate change, and sustainable development. Collaborative efforts among researchers, technologists, and policymakers are essential to ensure these advancements are effectively integrated into national strategies, emphasizing the importance of ethical AI deployment. Capacity building and local innovation will be pivotal in achieving sustainable solutions. As we move forward, let us commit to champion an environment that encourages innovation, inclusivity, and resilience, ensuring that AI becomes a driving force for positive change across Namibia's diverse sectors. Together, we can harness AI's potential to build more sustainable and prosperous future for all Namibians. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Dr. Matta, thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this great event. And Shoki, over to you.
All right, before our esteemed panelists just go off stage, we're going to take a photo before they go and also give over some few goodies. Maybe I can come to this end and then we can, yes. There we go. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just some goodies there for them before we go.
Yes, we will give them to you right away.
Right away, right away, right away, right away. Live and direct.
Okay.
There we go. Can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you so much. You may take your seats. Thank you so much. So they gave us quite a lot of insights in terms of how AI can play a role in different sectors. If you listened quite carefully, I listened to the part where it can actually predict the kind of water you need in a certain area. So already AI is getting involved in all the sectors, so it's trying to make our lives basically easier, and we don't need to suffer. We need to predict how the rain will come and all those things, and then we are well prepared for any situation.
You know, and having to predict or actually secure food and, farming, as our former speaker have said, you can actually do your farming while you are in your house.
Yeah.
So there's no need for you to go in the field anymore. You're just on your tab and you are, monitoring how things are going.
Very, very well. Now, before we quickly move on to our next panel discussion, we have some goodies to give away very fast. And then we'll move on to our next topic, which will really highlight social media and so forth. And also the panelists are already on standby. They are ready to really take us through this important topic. Of course, we are all using social media, right? One way or the other. Are we all on Facebook? Just show by hand. X. Aha. Instagram. TikTok. LinkedIn. Which other one did I leave out? Huh? YouTube.
Content creators.
Content creators, indeed. Wow.
All right, Shoki. One of our sponsors have actually given us or gave us goodies to give away. So I'm just going to ask you a very simple question. You raise your hand, we give you the mic, you answer, we give you what they gave us to give to you.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
We asked the question first. The fastest, I want somebody to actually help me spot the first person to raise their hand.
Yes.
After we pose the question. Okay. NBC has recently introduced a mobile app where one can watch TV and listen to all NBC platforms. Please give in. Oh, wow. Please give me the name.
Yeah.
The gentleman in blue.
Please stand
Was
up. Please
very
stand up.
quick.
Remember to stand up for the sake of our virtual participants as well. Yes, please declare.
Okay, my name is Henry Gwai. I am a student at the University of Namibia Science and Technology. NBC, which is an NBC Plus. That is the TV program that you can find on the digital space.
Indeed, he is correct. Congratulations. You may pick up your goodie quickly, please. Run to the stage so we take a photo. We don't want to be accused of pocketing the pack.
Can we give him a big round of applause? There you have it. There you have it. Live and direct right here at the Makia Hotel in Windhoek in Namibia. For those ones who are following us virtually, I think we also don't want to leave you behind. I think later on once we will look at our systems to see if we can also pose a question. The very first person to also maybe answer the question, we get to give you something special, because we have, how many companies have already given us goodies?
So far, 3. So we still have more. I think about 6
Yes.
goodies to give away.
So one of them is Green Enterprise and the other is?
Fritz, and we also have, just
And
the 3.
Powercom, I
And
think.
Powercom, I think.
Indeed, yes.
And then NBC.
And NBC.
Yes.
So be on the lookout. Be on the lookout.
Okay.
So we move on to our next panelist. Okay, technology is failing me here, but we will not fail, don't worry. So the next panel is titled Social Media Mediated Gender-Based Violence, Charting a Way Forward. Now to moderate this session is Mr. Benjamin. I don't want to fail his surname, so I'll keep it to Mr. Benjamin. He's a researcher in the Department of Informatics at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, and he will be able to introduce his panel. Mr. Benjamin, the floor is yours. Can we give them a round of applause?
I think the panelists can also make their way to the stage.
Indeed.
Because we are running a little bit behind our schedule.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's not blame lunch for this now. So I'm excited to be here because, at least for the first time, how many of you have been bamboozled by the AI things? AI everything, and I'm overwhelmed. So now there's something we can relate with. How many persons here use social media? Any form, or your relatives? Let's see. Okay, we have a room full of social media enthusiasts and users. So I'm just going to beg the indulgence of my panelists. As has been said, my name is Benjamin Akimoije, and I have the singular honor to have these amazing individuals here to discuss our topic, which is social media mediated gender-based violence, charting a way forward. And to commence that, I'll just have my panelists quickly introduce themselves, and then we'll tell you what this session is all about. Please, ma'am.
Is it on? Okay, it's always on. I'm Irene Clarus, and I work for a civil society organization called Young Feminist Movement, YFM, of Namibia.
I'm Gabriel Pahula from Namibian Police Force, Senior Inspector by rank, and I'm attached to cybercrime. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robin Kleinans. I'm a Deputy Chief in the Directorate Legislative Drafting at the Ministry of Justice.
Thank you very much. So as you can see, our panelists are well equipped and positioned to talk about this. So the issue we want to discuss is, knowing that we're all using social media, is there a way we could have policies and guidelines to protect us or make social media a safe place for everyone? And in order to give you a perspective to what this conversation is about, a recent study carried out by a UN university shows that at least 28% of females say they experience some form of online gender-based violence. Permit me to use the female gender because they are more expressive. This is not stereotype. Men don't give us their data, so that's why we're struggling. So, and I don't want to come here and state data that has no basis. So I'll use the ones that they found. So 36% of women also said they've experienced some form of online violence. And then Plan Health carried out a 32-nation study and showed that 58% of adolescent girls said they've experienced some form of online harassment. So you can see an indication of what we're talking about that is out there. But more importantly around now, study also show that it's not only women that experience gender-based violence. There are all form of other individuals that experience gender-based violence online, especially the ones social media facilitate. So that, and what you might be wondering, what does social media gender-based violence mean, or what does social media facilitated gender-based violence means? This means any form of violence that social media contributes to or enables, aggravates, or amplify. If social media plays any role in pushing it, it might be eventually online or offline. So the argument here is, as social media plays significant roles in all our lives, and it's such a complicated issue, how do we monitor or manage this situation? And then you might say, okay, Namibia doesn't have policy. That's not true. If we go around, we'll see that there are some policies already in place. There's the cybercrime policy. There's a guideline that guides government officials on how to use social media. There's a policy in the works right now that has some elements of social media in it. And you can also see that there have been some efforts towards intervention in terms of social media or digital space facilitated violence. So the question now is, do you think the policy we have existing already is good enough, or there are some gaps, or do you even think policy can do anything to stem gender-based violence? And importantly, this panel discussion is focused around prevention, not intervention. Sometimes interventions are overly too late. Is there a way we can use it to prevent and make online safe place for every one of us? That is what we are hoping we can ask our panelists this afternoon, and they can help us with their vast experience to tell us what way forward. With that said, I'm going to move on to our first panelist. But before I do that, I want to ask every one of us, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Thank you very much. So, ma'am, can you share with us a typical experience of putting on the gender lens of a feminine user on social media, their experience?
Yes. So when we are talking about violence in general, as women, we live already in a violent world. And then we see how now that transform or translate into social media. We are not living in a world where people really, care about each other. Women, just by walking out of the street, you are already violated. And then when this happens on social media, it creates some sort of anonymity where the perpetrator is protected because you can't see him, you know, and you can't hold the person accountable. But as feminists, what we are looking for is the inequalities that are already lying in the society. So if our cultural norms, if our gender norms are already violent, you know, then it can also easily happen on social media, and then there's no accountability that take place. For example, talking about examples, not long ago, a newspaper reported on social media that someone has been raped. And then the comments of our Namibians, you know how our Namibians can be, is like, yes, she deserved it. What was she doing with these guys, you know? And all of these things, imagine someone who is not even maybe the survivor of that incident, but has happened to before, can be re-traumatized because you are being told, these are our norms. This is how we see Namibians, you know? WhatsApp groups are being created. Just last week, I was in a rural town, and then I was being told that kids create WhatsApp groups to bully other kids. You know, people who have influencers, like pastors create WhatsApp groups to bully other people of different sexual orientation. So these are the things that are happening in the world that we have, but there is no accountability. Yes, there can be policy, but what are the monitoring processes that are there, even with the platforms such as Facebooks and TikToks and all of these things? Can they strengthen that, you know? But also as a society, can we look at how we treat people? What are our gender norms? What are our social norms that translates into this violence? And sometimes this violence happens that somebody spoke about it on social media, so it comes from the society, the way we are thinking, then it's on the social media, and then now it translates back into the physical world again, where people can actually feel that violence, because people are now threatened, people are now traumatized, they cannot move anywhere, they are being stalked. So it's things that we really need to look into, but practically look for solutions that work for people so that people can feel safe and included and protected.
Thank you, Ms. Irene. That's a lot that you've just given us to swallow or chew. So, Mr. Gabriel, you've heard her. So how do you think policies, or how can stakeholders come together? She said it's not only policies, people have to be held accountable. And you've seen all the scenarios she has painted. Unfortunately, we don't have so much time, so we have to make it short and succinct. So how do you think stakeholders can come together and either put policy or actions that can prevent these kind of experiences?
Thank you. The stakeholders, the importance is that they need to come together to have a collaborative approach where the government, the agencies need also to come together with the tech companies and all other civil society organizations. They will be able to come up with the robust policies to combat this. And in that also, this I like always to share with everyone. It look simple and sometimes it's so expensive. Through awareness, policies can be also done in including awareness and educationals, because the moment we educate our peoples and do the awareness, we'll be able to combat this type of viruses and that. And the other approach also the stakeholder can do, as you, the moderator, they introduced that you are the researcher. We need also to do the research and do data corrections. That will be also able us to come up with robust or good policies to combat such crimes. And also we also need to have the international cooperations, as we know that social medias or crimes which are occurred because of or through social medias, the perpetrators or the victims, they are not just in this hall where we are now. A perpetrator can be, maybe if I give an example, can be in China now, and the victim is here. That's why we need also to have international cooperations in our policies. We must able to have on that. And also, our policies must also have all the stakeholders which will be there we must be having accountable to everyone through that policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You see, my panelists are very robust and smart about these issues. Thank you very much. So finally, I want to ask you, do you think there are existing laws that are good enough to give us safe places online? Do you think so?
Currently, the answer to that would be no. The cybercrime bill has been in development since 2019. A layman's draft has been developed, and it should be presented to the Cabinet Committee on Legislation very soon. We are hoping that it would be passed by Parliament intermittently. That bill does criminalize actions such as cyberbullying, online harassment, child sex abuse material, and many others. But what people need to remember is that a lot of the online GBV instances already are criminalized offline. And the reason why there is such a proliferation of it happening on online spaces is because often it is not taken seriously offline in the real world. If the perception is there that the offline iteration are brushed off and not taken seriously, then no one is going to take the online iteration seriously. If gender-based violence in the real world is not tackled in a much more meaningful manner so as for the community, for society, for the nation to see that perpetrators are properly punished, that perpetrators are properly brought to justice, then how can there be an expectation that online iterations of gender-based violence will be taken seriously? So the thing is that we can talk about online safe spaces, but in our current dispensation, if it is not taken seriously offline, then the expectation for it to be taken seriously online, it's a little waffly.
I mean, let me take you on that quickly also. With what you just said now, do you think, now policies are by government and by people, but these things happen on platforms. What do you see as the role of platform providers in perpetration, I mean, especially in prevention of these issues?
Well, that's one of the big issues with regards to most of these, the most popular social media platforms, is that our jurisdiction is not their jurisdiction. X is based in the US, Facebook is based in the US, TikTok is based in China, right? So that is where we come back to what Mr. Pahula mentioned with regards to international cooperation, with regards to international agreements, memorandums of understanding, so that you can hold these platforms accountable for these instances when they occur on their platform, but to your citizenry. Yeah.
So basically we're helpless with them, or we can only use international corporations to see if we can explore that.
International cooperation, international agreements will be our most powerful methodology.
Okay.
The Cybercrime Convention has been debated how long now? Like 3 years? And it will be adopted within the next month. Yeah, in this September session of the UN General Assembly. And that will go a long way towards assisting to have these social media platforms held accountable. Because they do have, content moderators that work for them. You can report a post or a page, but for example, an individual user, beyond reporting and blocking, there's not much that you can do. You can't be, for example, we as individual users, we can't run to Nampol and be like, guys, they scanned me on Instagram. Okay, so what now?
that brings us to Mr. Gabriel. So Mr. Gabriel, what are the things we could do to have, I mean, with what you just said, that's a good pitching point to you. Like, how have you been handling social media facilitated GBV so far? I mean, how do you think, first of all, because we are talking about prevention, how can we create safe spaces with your role as NAMPO help citizens limit social media facilitated GBV?
As I mentioned first, that awareness can be also one of can be done, and with that also with NAMPO come up with we have also come up with some initiative where we created a cybercrime unit, and also recently that's a new unit which is established, but it's more concerned on or it's more relating on children, which called
protection.
yeah, it's a new unit. I think it was just established last year. The abbreviation, we call it OXIA, which is Online Child Sexual Exploitation and Abuse. This unit is in a collaboration with other stakeholders. I alluded also the importance of stakeholders, how they are the ones spearheading of this, and they are doing quite well on that for prevention of this type of crimes. Yes, and also the NAMPO also decided to do the trainings to the law enforcement or the members of on how to prevent, and also we came up also with the program of social monitoring or social media monitoring of monitoring of any disturbance of online, even though sometimes we might not react because we are preventing, but we might not react, but we will see what is happening. But yes.
But I hope the citizens know about these interventions, or do you have like call centers where we could call if we see such, like report a post or something, apart from reporting it on the platforms?
The call center, I will just say, when you call the toll-free for Namibian Police Force, they will able to direct you. And also the call center, we also have some stakeholders. Today is like I'm talking now too much of stakeholders, where I will say Lifeline Child.
Yes.
They are also, we engaging with them of saying yes, we can receive. And also the Ministry of Gender, when you call, they will also able to direct you to us. And also here in Windhoek, we also used to tell the community to say they can call also State Police number, the commerce people. Sometimes they are even not commerce, because State Police, they say, we used even to receive calls from outside, but they were able to direct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So everybody, you can see that the police has some initiatives towards addressing GBV prevention. So, Ms. Irene, I also want to ask you a very interesting question that research has shown. Do you think social media and mental health amongst the youth is a thing?
Yes, it's a very, very big thing. As I was saying, when these attacks happen to you on social media, for example, if a video of yours is taken without your consent, like the videos that we are laughing about now in the middle of the road, you know, not knowing what kind of mental impact that can have on someone. Because after this even happens, you're laughing about middle of the road, after this happens, there's even no psychosocial support that you are having. There's no legal support that you are getting. So all of these things can play a role into your mental health, because nobody even knows. If it's a physical attack, then you can go, and then the social worker can come in, the Namibian police can come in. But then you are just there with yourself, dealing with this issue. So it does affect the mental health, especially of the young people. And we know there's been many, many cases of suicide. There's been many cases, you know, where young people, especially the ones that we are working with. So first of all, we like to talk about accessibility and affordability. So how do you access this platform, but what does it also offer you as a child? We know recently in Namibia there's been a case of child pornography where there were just genitalia of very prominent men just going around, and the children are just getting that into their face. So these are all of the things. So we need to really look at how we strengthen, the protection and recognize it, that this is happening to people. But how do we also support the people? But how do we also as citizens not enable these behaviors? Because we are enabling. Now we are laughing about going to Sudak in the middle of the road, We are laughing, but we also know that this video was taken when somebody didn't consent. A drunk person can't consent to anything, So all of these things, so we need to really work together.
Thank you very much, Ms. Irene. Consent is a big issue. Unfortunately, we don't have a long time to discuss this, but I believe that it has created some awareness and trigger a few things in you. So even though the time is so short, I'm going to ask if there's somebody in the audience who has a question for any of our wonderful panelists. Any question? Any takers? Okay, I'm going to take just two. I'm running out of my pay grade, but so quickly, please make it short and succinct, very short.
Okay, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for the question. My name is Ferdinand. I'm a private investigator and also a security researcher. So my question, okay, thank you very much for the information. It's actually to go more on the police part. I was a police officer before for 7 years. And thank you very much for the police for initiating the office for online child sex oriented session. So my question is just social media and what the police is doing. I want to find out, is the police also working on prediction, as it was stated before, in terms of AI, to gather information so I can make decisions, or is it based on information that is collected? I hope if I'm making it clear. And also, to Miss, I didn't get your name, if the cybercrime bill is still yet not signed. So what is happening to the current crimes that are currently being committed? On what basis are the court processes in terms of court and all that, on which acts are those crimes being judged on, or court orders being done onto? I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, those are the two questions that I have. Yeah, just regarding that.
Thank you. Only two. Should we take the answers now? Yes, please.
I think, we can take question by questions. Yes, as you said, you were a police officer, a former colleague. One of the functions of the police is prevention. And on that prevention, we are still doing prevention before the crime occurred or occurred. We, like I said, we are doing social media monitoring, and whatever we come across, sometimes we don't react. Where we need to react, we react and we approach this or the individual regarding of what is happening, just to offer the support which we need, from even psycho support, because we have to arrange on the stakeholders which need to be there. But the point is that, yes, we are doing prevention through social media monitoring. We do detect, and on that detect also, we do disruptions depending on our capability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good question. The thing is, as I mentioned earlier, that a lot of the crimes that we will be criminalizing the online iterations of in the cybercrime bill do have their offline counterparts. So, for example, we do have the Domestic Violence Act to deal with the real world instances of GBV. We do have the Rape Act that deals with real life instances of GBV. In addition, we have the common law offenses of stalking, of harassment. So it very much also just means that if these things are happening online, there is an offline way to deal with it. Victims or survivors need to be just aware of the fact that they can complain. They can go and make a case at the police, that these matters can be prosecuted. And then prosecutors just need to, you know, put on their big girl panties and their big boy panties and go after it.
Thank you. So I think this is a good place to call it a quit. Okay, I don't have the grace anymore. I'm so sorry. So you can see that there are initiatives, there are opportunities and avenues for individuals to report and to make sure we prevent gender-based, social media facilitated gender-based violence. Also, we've just been told not to be facilitators, not to be enablers of these behaviors. So whatever we see on social media, we shouldn't amplify if we see it's not going well with other people, and we should try to make online a safe place because we are all stakeholders in this issue. Thank you very much. A round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Can we give them a big round of applause? We're just going to hand over some few goodies to them and then take a picture, and then we'll close off this insightful panel discussion that just took place. Very interesting one. Okay, just turn it around there, okay? Oh, we need to move a bit. There's a specific spot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists. Can we give them a big round of applause?
Thank you indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Are we still awake? Adapt or die. My director and my ED.
Some people are gone. Some people are gone. May we all rise just to stretch.
Yes, please.
Rise to stretch. Rise to stretch. I think we had a very insightful conversation about how we ought to present ourselves online and how you are most likely to get prosecuted in the absence of our upcoming cybercrime bill. So, yeah, let's stretch. Delilah and
they were wiggling.
They were wiggling something. I can't recall quite well what they did, but maybe let's just stretch. I mean, they said
do that AI stretch.
Wiggle. Let's try it. 1, 2. Wiggle. There we go. Thank you so much. Please take your seats.
Up next, we will have a discussion or a presentation from the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, which will be presented by Mr. Nico Muya, Chief Commercial Officer. But this will be done after this short commercial break.
Stay tuned.
An incident has occurred and paramedics are on scene. What is the perspective of a mother covering her child's eyes from witnessing the horror? What is the perspective of an officer trying to piece the incident together? And what is the perspective of a journalist taking a picture? New Era Newspapers, bringing the perspective to you.
Even with the latest security technology, the increase in zero-day attacks creates perimeter security challenges. Ransomware can cripple entire infrastructures, resulting in weeks of downtime, significant financial loss, and exposure to extortion and sensitive data leaks that could harm your brand's reputation. Sooner or later, an attack will slip through. How will you protect your most valuable assets? Your data. Introducing Bullwall Ransomware Containment. Bullwall contains an active ransomware attack in seconds. It stops data encryption and exfiltration. Bullwall uses 28 sensors and machine learning to monitor file activity and identify abnormal events. When Bullwall detects malicious encryption, it stops the active attack within seconds, quarantines the infected user and device, and protects your critical IT infrastructure and data on premises and in the cloud.
Subscribe to NBC Plus on Google Play Store or via the web browser by typing in www.nbcplus.na on your device. Enter your personal information, including your email address and password, and enjoy watching NBC television and listening to your favorite NBC radio stations. Whether you're at home, at work, or on the move, NBC Plus. It's global.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Mr. Nikomia, Chief Commercial Officer, Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, you may take over the stage. Please, let's clap for him. That's not enough.
Good afternoon. Afternoon, everyone. I know it's after lunch. Good afternoon, everyone. Are we doing great? Lovely, lovely. I'm going to take you through a very quick presentation. So last night, I had, I think, 65 slides, if not mistaken. So I decided to condense it because I realized that yesterday I saw the program it was delayed. I realized that, no, as well today, the program might be delayed. So I've condensed it. I believe it's going to be quick, catchy. And if there's no one who haven't subscribed after the presentation, can subscribe to NBC Plus. Just by the show of hands, who's on Netflix? Who subscribed to Netflix? That's 1, 2. Okay, perfect. Showmax, Amazon Prime Time, Apple TV, via VPN, Disney Plus. Who's on Disney Plus? Oh, lovely, lovely. Okay. They've upgraded me. Who's on Disney Plus by VPN? Peacock? Oh, okay. Perfect. NBC Plus? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I see. 4 in the ED here. Thank you, ED, for the support. So why I was asking that question, Showmax entered into a smart partnership. It's like a joint equity venture with MultiChoice Africa. They own around 35 plus in terms of equity in the Showmax. So that's universal, right? Now, when they revamped their app, they generated a lot of subscribers. They are currently standing at 2.1 million subscribers. That's in Africa. They have actually outbid Netflix, which is standing at 1.8 million. Why? You know the model of MultiChoice? They aggregate content, that's local content. Even the NBC is available on their multiplexer. So therefore, today I'm taking you through the journey of NBC, how we managed to develop our own app. We might be the first public broadcaster in Africa to come up with a fully fledged linear streaming platform called NBC Plus. That was 2018. But let me take you through my presentation. To start with, I know you know in terms of the Establishment Act of the NBC, but I'll jump into in terms of our vision. Our vision is straightforward. We want actually to provide 100% network connectivity at cost effective. So we want to give all Namibians, either on conventional platforms or on digital platforms, to have access to our TV and radio stations. Here what is critical in terms of our values, The last one, which is board, second to the last, we encourage innovation. So when this NBC Plus application in terms of idea generation started, it started from kind of like an idea, concept note, finalization, design, until we managed to launch the project. So it was an innovation, it was an idea. Therefore, one of our values is to encourage innovation at the NBC. Our mandate, I don't think all Namibians who are sitting in this room don't know our mandate. So our mandate is straightforward. Through MICT, our EDU sitting here, our mandate is basically to inform, to entertain, and educate the nation using our platform. Okay? Our network coverage. So at the moment, we do have what we call DTT network. So the DTT network is still transmission based. It allows you actually to have a set-top box and antenna for you to be able to receive TV and radio. At the moment on TV, we have 74.5% network coverage. On the radio, we have 78%. Now, for us to have 100% network coverage, our channels are carried on the multi-choice bouquet. So you'll find NBC 1, NBC 2, as well as the 11 radio stations. So therefore, we are leveraging on their platform to have 100% network coverage. Okay? Where we want to go, we want to see ourselves being an independent public broadcaster. Independence in terms of platforms. So we are migrating from DTT to DTH so that we can offer as well 100% network coverage. So this will allow our household to have a dish as well as a set-top box from NBC. Wherever they are, they'll be able to catch NBC. Since we are NBC, I indicated that we are running a conventional platform as well as a digital platform. So to be digital, one have to look in terms of how does the ICT sector in Namibia, how is it looking like? Because if you are within digital, you need to broadcast on IP, which is the Internet Protocol. So here we did our research, we just highlighted in terms of the competitive scope. We know who the competitors are within that area. Most ISPs, we have MTC, FTN Mobile, Africa Online, and the list continues. I don't want to bore you because you know this information. But what is critical is on the product and service scope. The last line, 5G testing. I don't know if my pointer cannot. 5G, MTC have done their testing, I believe it was this year, on 5G. What that means within broadcasting, it means that in terms of latency, there won't be any latency when we are broadcasting HD. Earlier this year, we converted our broadcasting standard from standard definition to HD. Therefore, we require proper bandwidth for us to be able to deliver you the superior quality of service in HD. So the ecosystem itself within ICT and broadcasting industry, it's very quite interesting. Because all of you here, you might have smartphones. You might have smart TVs. I'm preaching you today that I'm NBC. You might be watching other content. I saw hands of Netflix and anything else. So it's tough. It's a very competitive environment because anyone with a smartphone can become a broadcaster. Whether on YouTube, whether on your Facebook page, whether on your Instagram, right? So therefore, NBC had to position itself to be within that digital space because we realized that the cake was becoming very small. So therefore, we have positioned ourselves within this ICT and broadcasting value chain. We have positioned ourselves to be there. What normally gives us the indication in terms of what is happening and where our strategic intent is leading to. So one have to look in terms of the drivers and the resources within the economy. The first one is infrastructure development, such as the landing of the undersea cable. Remember, first I believe those years when I used to work for Telecom, we used to talk about works. Just this year, Telecom and Paratus Namibia have actually launched the Equano cable. This gives us more opportunity in terms of streaming, internet bandwidth, improved connectivity for Namibians. Second one, there is quite a reduction in terms of the prices from the competition, the competitors, which are the ISPs. This is in Africa and Namibia as well. Therefore, it gives opportunity for us as end users to afford data bundles. The third one is more of increased mobility and demand for internet and data applications. Because there's a lot of competing social media digital platforms that are there. So it creates more demand, and ISPs can now sell data bundles. The fourth one, we saw our population from the Namibian Statistical Agency. Population have increased. What does that mean? It creates more opportunities for us as NBC. We are increasing audiences. Now, to increase audiences, if we are limited with the platforms that we have, right, we have to have something that can augment the platform that cannot give the 100% network like the DTT now. If I may continue, economic growth. We know after COVID, the economy wasn't performing very well. But currently now where we are standing, the GDP looks very positive. So these are indicators that we use as well, to strategize within the NBC. And then we have government initiatives and direct expenditure geared to improving the ICT usage, especially in rural areas. We saw the regulator CRAN. They went out on 5G spectrum bid, that was last year, of which NBC as well decided to compete for that. And with that, we managed as well to get the 5G spectrum, of course, together with a joint venture company. Therefore, in the near future, we'll be able to offer our own internet services, bundled together with NBC Plus, cost-effectively, voice over internet. We can offer the same as what ISPs can offer in a very, very near future. This is high-level research. This research was done by a company called NEPA. It's a Swedish company. So the research, it's called audience research. It was done looking in terms of what are the Namibians using in terms of OTT. So you can see YouTube is highly used in Namibia. 75% of the people, the respondents of the survey, indicated that they are using YouTube. Incredible, if we look in terms of Kunene, the statistics are overwhelming. The people participated in the research, all of them are using YouTube. But yours truly, NBC Plus, is number 7, which is a good indication, because if there's a penetration rate of at least 7%, which shows that people are using NBC Plus, it's a good indication that NBC is heading into the right direction. The history of NBC Plus. We were given a platform here to launch the NBC Plus. The initial one was 2017, when we spoke about it, what we wanted to do. 2018, at the same platform, we launched the NBC Plus mobile app. So the mobile app, it had, I'll say, a payment gateway linked to it that allows you to subscribe using a credit card and a debit card. Therefore, when we launched it, we had 680 subscribers. For us, it was an achievement because we never expected it. But as we were pushing the brand, using our platforms, we realized that it was only few people who were actually subscribing. Why? Because people were paying. They were paying $30 per week, $80 per month, $600 for 6 months, and $899. So they couldn't afford. And secondly, when we did our research, we realized that only few people could transact using their credit cards and debit cards online because they were scared of cybercrime, okay? Challenges that we encounter. The first one is bandwidth. Bandwidth is very expensive. So if you are running an OTT platform, you're required to use a point-to-point internet service. So on that NBC Plus of 2018, we're using 100 meg point-to-point line. 100 meg point-to-point line, if we compare it within the environment of motor industry, it's like a Ferrari. Very, very expensive, right? So it was very expensive for NBC to keep up with such a model. Second, by then, internet penetration rate was below 50%. So to have NBC Plus, you need to have proper internet bandwidth, at least a 5 megabits per second, because it's streaming live channel, which is called linear channel. Third one, I indicated the affordability from the subscribers. People were calling us to say, we cannot afford it. Like NBC, we need to buy data bundle. We need to pay you $30 per week. No, it's impossible. It's expensive. The fourth one, data affordability. I just combined it now with the subscription affordability. And lastly, a service level agreement. So a service level agreement, it means that the software that you are using to stream your content, you need to pay for it. And there's a minimum guarantee of 5,000 users. Even if you have that 680 that I just mentioned, you pay for 5,000. So the model becomes very expensive. What did we do? We decided to build our own ecosystem as NBC plus our local partner called On Demand TV. So the content distribution network of NBC Plus is at NBC HQ. In an easy explanation, it's just servers that are there that allows to stream the linear content, radio as well as television. We set as well to define and develop how the app is going to look like. This was like on a white paper, not even on a computer, on an iPad, just on a white paper. We want to have a dark background. We just want content to pop up. That's what we did. So we did that for the mobile app as well as the landing page, which is the web browser. So now if you check on your app as well as the web browser, they look the same. That was the idea. Equally, the content distribution network is very critical because you need to have a very powerful, robust content distribution network that allows you to play any format of any content that you are running. Because on NBC Plus now, it offers you to have a VOD as well as linear. We can create pop-up channels as well. Okay? I'll try to be very quick. I'll try to be very fast. For you to register, it's easy. You don't need to pay anything. You just need to provide your name, surname, email address, your contact details, and then we'll send you the PIN. And then you'll be able to watch NBC Plus wherever you are. So it's global. So that means if you travel outside the borders of Namibia, you can watch it. It's not geo-blocked. Achievements. We have 38,202 subscribers. Yesterday, we registered 100 subscribers at our stand. So, which is good. So it's good to be at the ICT Summit because we just got 100 subscribers. So this is where we are. In terms of usage, thank you. In terms of the usage pattern, you can see Namibia, which is within the borders of Namibia. About 98% of our users are Namibians, which is great, which means they are appreciating the service that NBC is giving them. The age group is quite concerning. Why concerning? We can see from 18 to 20, and 21 to 30 is the lowest. Let's leave out the 60 plus. So the young people that we expect who are stuck on their smart devices every day, they are not subscribing. So it's still the middle age. But it's good for us because for advertisers, this is what they are looking for. They look at, can people who are actually using NBC Plus be able to pay goods and services? Successes, we have integrated the NBC Plus with what we call the Google Analytics. It gives us statistics, instant statistics, who's watching, who's listening to radio. So the monthly engagement on the app is 100,000, above every month. And on average, we are getting 55,000 per month, per day of people who are streaming the app in Namibia and beyond. The app allows you actually to have an element of a pop-up channel. We had the Jazz Festival in partnership with City of Windhoek last year that was running as VOD on the app. Lastly, it gives the element of commercialization. We can do static advertisement, motion advertisement within the app itself. So what makes good content? Why are people attracted to the NBC Plus? As the numbers that I've seen. I'll just pick out 2 pointers there. The first one is Miss Namibia. We had Miss Namibia in Ruderis this year, where we had 100,000 viewers on YouTube in 3 days. 45,000 viewers that day, alone within that period on NBC Plus. Due to internet issues, it crashed. Not crashed, it buffered. Because the capacity of people at once streaming, it was just too much in terms of the demand, right? So I'll show you in terms of where we want to go to avoid that in the future. I'll jump now. I know I was told that behind time. I want to talk about the strategy. I'll jump this one. Strategy again, I'll jump this one. Where do we want to go? So I indicated earlier on, the content distribution network is at NBC HQ. It creates problems for us. We have a point-to-point internet line that is going to NBC. It's fiber, point-to-point. It's a 50 meg. So it's indicated that fiber is very expensive. Point-to-point internet. We are moving now to a data center. So we are still talking with ISPs in Namibia who can host us within the data center. What will that mean? We can go on a 100 meg point-to-point line because local bandwidth will be cheaper because we are in a data center. Secondly, NBC Plus is going to be paired to the internet exchange as well. Therefore, local bandwidth is not required on an international bandwidth. I showed you that 98% of subscribers are Namibian. That's local bandwidth. So the cost of bandwidth will shrink and completely go down, right? Now, second one is redundancy. At the moment, we only have one content distribution network. We need to have a redundancy. You saw what Netflix did. I don't know if you know. Please go search on Netflix. I don't have time, right? So they have this mini content distribution across the globe so that their content cannot buffer. So that's the idea. So we are going to have one in a data center and then one at NBC HQ. But we are still planning to say, can we take both of them to a data center? But we'll see what we are going to do. And then we have developed an app. So from 1st of September, advertisers can now advertise on the NBC Plus, to enhance their product and services. Lastly, I'm done, right? So in the back end, we launched this service. The new NBC Plus was launched last year on the 28th of September in Oshakati. So this year, the anniversary, we were planning, that's in September, to show the Namibians the new improved app. So we've been working behind the back end to improve the app. So the app is going to be called NBC Plus Lifestyle because it combines all of the items, the things that you use every day, including if you want to buy airtime to any ISP, if you want to buy power, that's electricity. If you want to look for a job, we want to do that. So this is how it's going to look like. So I don't know if you downloaded it. The current one, it's not like this. It's not like this. This is different. So what it shows now, they say media. That's where you're going to be getting radio and television under media. And then there's what we call the lifestyle and leisure. There's what we call communication. Communication, it's crazy in terms of what we want to do. For example, since we have now a 5G spectrum, we can have VoIP. So within the app, you can make a call to someone who's having the app for free. 0 data rated because we have bandwidth. So these are things that we are experiencing that we are trying to do. Travel and tourism. I mentioned jobs. Travel and tourism, your NTB, your Condwana. So we want to talk to these corporates to come on board so that they can actually have their hotels and establishment within the app. The idea is this. As you are listening to radio, you don't need to venture away from the app to go look for whatsoever if you want to go on holiday with your family. We want you to be engaged within the app because engagement is one of our strategic intent, right? And then, this is my last slide. Thank you very much. I don't know if I have few minutes for questions and answers. Thank you. I'll be directed.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Muya. Thank you. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Briefly, we'll give a chance. 2 questions. Okay. We have a hand. Okay. Can we have a mic? Okay.
Thank you. Exciting presentation. So my question is about content. So are we going to get majorly local content, or we're just going to be getting content, foreign content on NBC, or majorly local content?
No, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So NBC is regulated by CRANE. Therefore, if we are regulated by CRANE, we have to adhere to what we call the broadcasting code. With the broadcasting code, it allows us all, it instructs us to produce 30% of local content on television and 80% of local content on radio. Now, our aim is, I know you are shocked. You are shocked. So our aim is basically to produce more than 50% of local content. We've done the KPIs because we normally do this quarterly report. So we are already above 46% of local content, right? So if we look in terms of the opportunity that are there for the local film producers, they cannot fill the NBC grid because we broadcast more than 8,000 hours in a year, right? Content is very expensive. Therefore, that 46 plus local content that we have is complemented by international content. So that's sports, drama series, that's movies. So it's complemented by that. But indeed, the opportunity of pushing more local content is there. Thank you.
All right, one more last question on this side. Yeah, just raise your hand quickly. Keep it quite brief and straight to the point.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Salma Velikoshi. I'm a student at NAST. I'm doing telecommunications. My question is, you mentioned that you guys are planning to be hosted by a local data center, which will help to reduce bandwidth costs, right? So my question is simply, are you guys also planning to reduce the subscription fees so that we can, as students and unemployed, can also subscribe to your app?
No, thank you, ma'am, for the question. The app is for free. You download it, you register, it's for free. We'll send you, the system is so intelligent, it will send you your username and your password. But currently, the username is set to default. That's your email address. So we'll send you the password. It's for free. It's not a commercial app. It's not a SVOD. It's a free app.
All right, that concludes our Q&A session for that part. I would like to thank Mr. Muya quickly before we let him go. We need to give him a goodie bag. There we go. There we go. Just to say thank you. Oh, yes, there's an iPad where you can subscribe to MPC Plus. Thank you so much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have one last presentation before we break away for other sessions again at different rooms. But before we do that, while Yango Namibia is just preparing their presentation, I would like to ask two questions. We have two bags to give away. One is from the NBC, another one is from Green Enterprise Solutions.
That's correct.
So, we start with Green Enterprise Solutions. You quickly raise your hand, and then you give the answer. You walk away with a bag. What is Green's vision?
Hey.
Green's vision. Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, that's gone. Do we have a hand up?
Yes, we hand up.
All right, very good. Okay, now I'm timing it because we are Googling.
Yes.
You remember I told you guys, go and familiarize yourselves with
exhibitions.
Yeah, exactly. And then you come back, we ask you a question. You'll be able to answer. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Green's vision, by my understanding, is by understanding the sustainable development goals and producing the green environment. Thank you.
I think you just gave them a new vision, which is very good, but not directly. Any other person who can try again? Okay, you are the lucky one. At least you tried.
Yes.
But the answer is experience the future today.
Simple.
Simple. Please come.
Please
Let's
come.
appreciate your
Let's
effort.
Yes, yes, you attempted, which is a great effort, actually. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you and congratulations. And then the next question is coming from the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, by now everyone should have subscribed, right, to NBC Plus.
NBC provides radio connectivity all over the country. How many local radio stations does NBC have?
Who's that? Who's that?
Black. No, the guy in black.
Please stand for the sake of our virtual
Afternoon.
participant.
My name is Bobby Kamati, and NBC has 11 radio stations.
You are right.
Wow.
They have 11 radio stations. Please run to the stage.
Can we
Clap
cheer?
for
Come
him.
on, come on, come on. There we go. There's some nice stuff. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Actually, that is a way to track if you are paying your TV license. Just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our next speaker.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's welcome Mrs. Kambanda Chiwe, if I said that name correctly. She's the Yango Regional Manager, and she will be taking us through navigating the future of urban mobility and digital innovation to ensure safety. Of course, we are all using Yango, huh?
Most of us.
Most of you? Who uses Yango in Namibia?
Oh, wow.
All right, let's give it up to Ms. Kambanda as she takes us through her presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you feeling today? You're good, but not tired? Okay, good. I've been told I have like 15 minutes, so I should be quick in and out. So I've seen some hands of people that use Yango. How many people have heard of Yango? All of us. Can I ask all of us to please download the app after this? Okay, that's great. So I'll take you through a very quick presentation talking about navigating the future of urban mobility, digital innovations to ensure safety. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this great conversation. As the rise of mobility channels in the digital platform grows, the question arises about what value do these platforms bring to our communities? But before we get into that conversation, I would like to tell you a little bit about Yango. So Yango is a technology company. We have presence in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have over 150 million users within our ecosystem, with over 300,000 enterprises that are powered by Yango. Ride-hailing is one of our flagship products, and with this product, we're present in over 34 countries, and including Namibia, where we launched over a year ago, and the market has responded really well to our service, and we're very excited about the opportunities for growth and launching more services on the market. We have 4 elements that help us provide the service that we know as Yango. We have the user app, which is the classic Yango app that many of us will have on our phone if we have taken a ride on the application. Then we have Yango Pro. Yango Pro is the driver app that drivers use in their day-to-day operations. Then we have Yango Maps. We develop our own maps, our own routing, and our own navigation. And the 4th one is the partner portal. So in every market in which we operate, we partner with local transportation companies to be able to provide the service. So Yango provides the platform and the technology, and the partners provide the actual transportation service. So if anyone is interested in becoming a Yango partner, please see me after the presentation. Back to the question about the value that platforms such as Yango bring to our communities. The first one is affordability. So the fact that we're able to provide a service that is affordable to the market means that we're able to reach a wider base of the population. And with that growth in the demand, we're able to attract more drivers to the service. With the attraction of more drivers to the service, we then have what we call a lower ETA. An ETA is basically the amount of time that it takes for a driver to get to you when you make the order. So the lower it is, the more likely you are that you will use the service again, because it speaks to convenience and reliability. But the third and most important one is safety. So imagine this, you're on a traditional taxi that you found off the street. Drops you off at home, then you remember, oh, I left something in the car. How do you go about trying to retrieve that item? Yes? How? Because listen, when you're in a traditional taxi, you're probably not even going to ask the driver what his name is. You probably won't remember the registration plate number after the trip. And you might not even remember the make and model of the vehicle or the color of the vehicle at all. Right? So it becomes very difficult to resolve those issues. But what if it's a more serious incident? Like you literally had an altercation with the driver. What do you do in that instance? Come again? No, we're talking about traditional transportation here. You forget about it. Okay, that's an option. But anyway, let's speak more about the value that platforms like Yango bring in terms of safety. For services such as ours, safety is very important. And without safety, we can't have trust in our service. And really, there is no space for solutions and innovations such as ours. So safety is paramount for our business to survive. So let's look at safety at Yango. So we look at the features that we have for drivers as well as for passengers. We'll start first on the passenger side. So like I said, the passengers will have the classic Yango app. Within this app, we have various safety features. We have the verified driver and vehicle, display of driver's information, safety center, special incident support team, share route, trusted contacts, and driver rating. Now we're going to talk in detail about each one of these. So what do we mean when we talk about a verified vehicle? So this means that every vehicle that is onboarded onto the platform is vetted before it is approved. So we have a quality team that goes through matching the information that is provided by a driver in their profile to the actual vehicle that is submitted. So the driver will have to take pictures of their vehicle, and this will be verified. We'll also look at whether the vehicle is dirty, whether it's damaged, or whether there's anything in the vehicle that is broken that needs to be fixed. This verification is done once every 30 days. So in that 29 days when we're not doing the check, we rely on feedback of our passengers on the state of the vehicles that you're encountering. If a driver does not pass this test, they lose access to the service. Then we have a verified driver. Here we're just trying to verify that the driver is allowed to be on the road, so they have a driver's license. And then number two, we're trying to verify the likeness of the person on the driver's license to the actual person that we see in the selfie. Then we have the display of driver's information. Here, when you make an order on the app, a driver accepts it, you will get information about the driver, their name, their photo, their rating. This rating is an aggregate of all the feedback that has been provided by other users before you that have encountered this driver. And you also get the registration number of the vehicle, the make and model as well. Then you have the safety center. In this safety center, you have a number of features. The first one is an SOS button. This SOS button is connected to, 1, the police, and 2, an ambulance service, depending on what you need in that particular situation. You also have a share route button, so that means that you're able to share your route with your friends and family, and they can track you in real time. So if you go off the route, they can see that and they can react in real time. If for some reason you're just stationary and it doesn't make sense why you're stationary because they can't see traffic, they can also react in that case. You also have a section where you can put in trusted contacts. You have up to 5 contacts that you can put in. And you can you can put the settings on when and how you want information shared with them. You can put it on always, so every time you're on a trip, information will be shared to them about where you're going and where you're coming from. Or you can set it to maybe after 9 p.m., that all those trips are shared with them, or do it manually each time. Then we have the support incident team. So in Yango, we have 24-hour support, and these guys deal with basic logics. So these are things like you forgot something in the car, you had a little argument with the driver, or the driver didn't give you the correct amount of change. They can deal with those issues. But then you have more serious, more urgent cases. And these cases go to what we call the support incident team. So these agents are trained above and beyond the regular support agents. So they will deal with any of these cases, and if they're not able to resolve them, they will then escalate to the police if it borders on like a criminal action. Let's look at the safety features that we have available for drivers. Like I said, drivers use Yango Pro, and within Yango Pro, we have a number of safety features. The first one is alert for unsecured zones. Then we have display of riders' ratings. We have riders' information, a conflict button, special incident team, and speed control. So display of riders' information. So when you put in an order and the driver accepts it, they'll get your name, your photo, and the number of trips that you have done in the service, and your rating. This gives them a profile or an idea of the person that they're going to pick up, and they can decide whether or not they want to proceed with this particular order. Then you have the alert for unsecured zones. So in many cities, you have areas that are considered dangerous. So what we do is that we mark out these areas, and if and when a driver gets an order from this area, they will get a notification that tells them that this order is coming from or to a dangerous zone, and they can choose whether or not to proceed with it. We also have speed control. So this feature uses GPS to track the speed of the driver against the data that we have collected in our navigator, which we use to build all our routes. So we have all the information about all the allowed speed limits on which routes. So if they exceed the speed limit, they will get a warning. And if they ignore it, then they can lose access to the service as well. Sorry. Then we have the incident support team. This works exactly the same on driver side and on rider side, so they deal with difficult cases. Then we have riders' ratings. So these are ratings that are assigned to every rider based on feedback that has been left by other drivers that have encountered you as a rider in their car. So this will give the driver an idea of who you are as a person, and they can make the decision about whether or not they would like to proceed with this transaction with you. So that is all the safety features that we have on Yango. I hope this provided some insight about what we're doing in Yango to ensure that our service is safe for both users and drivers. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay.
Good day, ma'am, and lovely presentation over there. I just have a quick question. It's no secret that Yango is rising and rising rapidly, so I just wanted to ask if there's like plans to expand, let's say, to other towns. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, hi. On the driver's identity, do you guys consider factors like if the driver was an ex-convict or any of that sort?
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. My question is around how you evaluate the cars basically, because I believe you have economy and then you have comfort. So how do you evaluate? Because sometimes I feel like I choose comfort, but then the car that I get is not at the level of comfort, I would say. So I just want to understand how you evaluate that.
Okay. Oh, there's so many questions. Okay. So I'll start with the question around the expansion. So yeah.
Sorry, my last question. Having discovered that Yango is a European-based company, just wanted to find out that is Yango, because you presented that you also have a partner in government portal. I believe you have an agreement with the government before commencing business here in Namibia. So I just wanted to find out in terms of the agreement, how should I put this? The country where Yango is regionally from, if there is no chances of us being sanctioned or because we are in agreement with Yango, that's the question. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with the expansion question. So yes, we are looking at expanding to other regions. At the moment, we're available in 3 cities. We're in Windhoek, we are in Moabis Bay, and Swakopmund. So we are looking at other areas to go to. Then there was a question about comfort, and Comfort Plus. For the Namibian market, I think the differentiation really comes into the size of the vehicle and whether or not you have working air conditioning in the vehicle. So what you notice is that there's not a really big difference in the price between between economy and comfort, and that's the reason for that. So we're still working on better differentiation on the market, so you will see a change and an improvement there.
Okay.
Then there was a question about, I don't remember now.
Okay.
There's so many.
Take mine, Ma, this time around. Okay, I'm Raquel Kananjebo. My question is more on regulatory requirements. Yango is operating in an ecosystem where there are requirements set out for transport. And yes, drivers are required to comply to some aspects in the whole organization. Does Yango comply to all those requirements? And all the drivers for Yango, are they also complying to those requirements? And what are the challenges that Yango has experienced within the ecosystem since you are upcoming into the ecosystem? You found taxi drivers and all that, and your prices seems to be lower than what they are making or charging their customers. So in this regard, what are the challenges that you have experienced in terms of the traditional taxi business that we are having in Namibia?
Okay, I'll start with the last question. Yes, we do recognize that there's been traditional taxis that are present on the market before we entered the market. And what we have done is be very clear about the fact that we're not here to necessarily compete with them. We're here to make it easier for them to get greater access to more users and sort of improve their business operations. So we have a number of taxis that have integrated well into the Yango ecosystem, and we look forward to more of them coming on board. As far as the challenges that we have faced on the regulatory front, I think one of the things is basically, yes, the fact that you don't only need licensing, but then there's also the specific permits about the specific routes that you're supposed to be on, right? So when you look at a digital platform like Yango, we operate an on-demand service. So what that means is, if you want to take a trip from here to say, I don't know, Grovemore or whatever, you should be able to do that, right? But you don't have a specific permit that's going to allow you to have sort of that type of routes, because the routes are very specific for the taxi drivers, right? So one of the things that we're working on is really understanding, in collaboration with the regulators, how they're willing to incorporate a digital platform such as ours. Not that we're not open to pushing to be compliant, we are, right? But what we're saying is there has to be considerations for new innovations. I think that's the point.
All right, thank you so much for the questions. Don't forget, you can still interact with Mrs. Chiwe, and you can still engage her on more questions. I do know that there is an eager, I see there's some questions there. What was the question? Ex-convicts. How do you deal with ex-convicts?
And the what?
Okay.
I thought I answered the conflict question.
Yes, she answered the other one, but the convicts she can answer. Yeah, quickly.
Okay. So I'll try and quickly address the issue around the drivers. So at the moment, we give the opportunity to anybody that is interested in getting onto the platform, right? Now, when it comes to more security checks, that usually comes from the regulatory environment. So when you have a specific regulation for ride-hailing, it would stipulate within the regulation about who can be onboarded onto the platform. So basically, we don't necessarily work from a perspective of excluding people. We work from the perspective of providing a platform for people to earn if they're interested in doing that. So for example, in Zambia, we have specific regulation that states that if you're a convict and you've served more than 1 year, you cannot operate in ride-hailing. So we have that and we comply with that. So depends on the regulation of the country.
Well, that is loud and clear. Let's give Ms. Chiwe a big round of applause for that great presentation. I believe everyone is now appreciating their services. And when someone asks you, what are we referring to digitalization, just make use of Yango as an example. It's taxi that has been what? Digitalized. Yeah? Do you get it? So some people fail to explain what is digitalization. I bet when you go home, everyone's asking, okay, what are they speaking about? What is interesting? You tell them, this is the progress that the country is making in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of digitalization, and that is Yango for you. Let's give her one more round of applause.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are behind time and we still have 2 more discussions to have. That will be breakaway sessions in venue A and venue B. I'm just not sure about venue C. So I will give away the 3 left goodies after the breakaway sessions. I want to see who's coming back. And then that is when we are going to close off today. So
don't forget, again, let me just quickly remind you about the breakaway room so that you don't get confused and you actually know which one it is. I'm just trying to track here the corrections that I got this morning. Yeah, we are using a digital platform, so bear with us. It's coming, it's coming. Are you there?
adapt or die. Oh gosh, a few of us are gone.
Well, no, everyone is gone.
Gone.
Okay.
All right, ladies
so
and-
breakaway, sorry. So breakaway A is Brandberg, yeah. Breakaway B is Hamsburg, and breakaway C is where we are. Breakaway D is Wakana at the Safari Court, just the building opposite. So we just have two, which is Breakaway A and B. So you must go to Brandberg and Hamsburg, just around here.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of what is going to happen in these venues, we have in venue A, our speaker will be Mr. Beatus Amadila, Chief Executive Officer of Powercom. He will be speaking about the role of ICT infrastructure companies in the digital transformation process, Powercom perspective. And in venue B, we will have Mr., I don't know if it's a Mr., there's no title. The speaker will be Khabo Siapa, Strategy and Solutions Lead Sub-Saharan Africa, Huawei. The topic will be accelerating Namibia digital transformation and empowering digital economy. So you see which venue or which topic you will be joining. And thereafter, we come back at 5 o'clock so that we close off. And then I give you 3 more bags to walk away with.
And we'll give you more announcements in terms of what will be happening tomorrow. Also in your program, you did see it's reflecting, we'll be basically launching the iSecure website. That will be done tomorrow because we want to make it more exciting for you. But for now, let's cross over to the breakaway rooms. Thank you so much.
Oh, hi there. I am Zolt. I'm Zolt's customer service helper at your service 24/7, 365. Go groovy, baby. I'll answer your questions and point you to the right place or human to find the stuff you're looking for. Visit Zolt.
Where were you when you heard about the drought relief program? Where were you when the first kidney transplant in Namibia was done? Where were you when businesses were looking for employees? Where were you when the president announced the Harambee Prosperity Plan? Wherever you were, New Era made sure that you were informed.